Ultimately, I think Georgia Bulldog fans aren't disappointed, but they're not satisfied with the result that they've seen from their football team so far this season. And you go and you say that the crowd noise and the passion from the fans isn't there. They're reciprocating what they see on the field. Georgia's looking stuck in the mud. Georgia doesn't look like they could hold Texas's piss bottle right now. Kirby Smart, after the Bulldogs win against Auburn this past weekend at home, went and called out the fans in his post-game press conference, saying that for the first time as head coach of Georgia, he was disappointed in the lack of energy and the lack of crowd noise that the fans generated. Here's his exact quote right here. If anything, to be honest, I'm a little disappointed. I'm probably disappointed in our fans for the first time that I thought there was a lack of really affecting the game crowd noise-wise, passion, and energy. Kirby, first off, it is not the fans' obligation to cheer regardless of the product. It's not the fans' obligation to cheer for a team just because they're a fan of that team. If the product that team is not putting out is not up to that fan's standard or what, their expectations, they have every right to call out that program or to not cheer as loud as you think they should. Second off, it's not the fans' responsibility to bring the energy and the passion. It's the players and ultimately the head coach who it all falls under to provide the energy and passion in the game through the play that the fans can rally on, right? And you as the coach and the players are supposed to give something for the fans to cheer for. I feel like Kirby Smart's missing something here with that. I don't think any fans of the Georgia Bulldog, going back 2 weeks ago to that Alabama game, would say that the energy or passion that the Georgia Bulldogs displayed in that first half was anything up to the expectations or standards of the Georgia Bulldogs or their fans. It took the Georgia Bulldogs a full half to realize that they were in an SEC football game, and by then it was just too little too late. Fast forward to this week. Obvious glaring problems for this Georgia Bulldog team, specifically with the people that they had to replace in the secondary. Going into the season, we knew the secondary had gaps and positions that needed to be filled from players that had left. Fast forward to this point in the season, almost halfway through, can we say that we think that secondary has made any improvements? This Georgia defense, historically under Kirby Smart, is by far and away, all things considered, the most sure tackling and best tackling defenses in college football. This secondary, not only are they bad in coverage, they can't tackle for shit. And it's bad. Follow that up with the linebacker play. I know Smile Munden was not playing against Auburn. In the game Smile Munden's played in, he's been pretty much a non-factor. Going back 2 weeks ago again, the linebacker play in the Alabama game was absolutely pitiful. Now, a lot of that was great scheming by the Alabama offensive coordinator and the play callers. But with that being a glaring issue, you would expect improvements. And not enough improvements from that week to this week for me to be confident in their development as a defense. Offensively, I thought early in the game Carson Beck was 12 for 16 because he had thrown 16 screens pretty much. I mean, they pushed the ball downfield a little bit on some play actions on third down. Georgia's play calling in the first half when they were on their scripted plays, I thought was great because against Alabama, Mike Bobo absolutely shit the bed. And I call Mike Dodo Bird. I'm not a fan of Mike Dodo. In this era of college football and the SEC specifically, you have to be getting better with every single hire because these teams are constantly improving, constantly trying to catch up to you, specifically if you're Georgia already at that elite level. They didn't improve with that hire with Mike Dodo. And that's evident in the play calling, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely trash. And, Kirby Smart and Mike Dodo need to go to the drawing board because in that second half, once again, they were struggling to move the ball. And that O-line, being patched up as it is, was still letting three-man pressures from Auburn get to Carson Beck. And I understand where the power of that Auburn football team is, but regardless, if Georgia's who they say they are, they need to be more consistent on both sides of the ball. And that has nothing to do with the fans, crowd noise, or the energy that they bring. It's the energy and passion that the players bring and the team brings. Ultimately, I think Georgia Bulldog fans aren't disappointed, but they're not satisfied with the result that they've seen from their football team so far this season. And you go and you say that the crowd noise and the passion from the fans isn't there. They're reciprocating what they see on the field. Georgia's looking stuck in the mud. Georgia doesn't look like they could hold Texas's piss bottle right now. And Kirby's worried about the passion of the fans. He needs to be worried about the passion of his players and the improvement of his players. I've always been a massive fan of Kirby Smart for the style of coach that he is, the same style that I was coached in. And really, you don't see coaches that, old school that are that intense like that. Where's that intensity on your players, Kirby? Where's that intensity on your team and your coaching staff? Because we haven't seen it. And this Georgia defense is getting ran on in ways that they have not been ran on in the past. The front seven doesn't have the depth that they have. Georgia has enough issues with their own personnel, their own schemes, to worry about for themselves. After they figure all that out, then they can worry about why the fans aren't as excited as they should be. They just got embarrassed on national TV 2 weeks ago. And y'all did not play up to the standards against a bad Auburn team. With Hugh Freeze as head coach, who we saw in that game, he doesn't take blame for shit. How do you think his players are going to feel about that? How do you think his players already feel about that? How do you think his quarterback feels about always getting blamed and the coach never looking introspectively? And they go out and look how they did. Now, they got the win nonetheless. And Georgia's still in control of their own destiny. Like I said in the reaction to the Alabama-Georgia game, Georgia's still in control of their own destiny. But the issues that they have, I don't see being fixed. Specifically with that defense and that secondary and shoring up the tackling back there and the play back there overall. Front seven hasn't been what we've expected a Georgia front seven to be, and really what they've made the standard in the SEC. Georgia, as good as they are, they have a long way to go. I think the number one thing for them is consistency and kind of finding a rhythm offensively and defensively. I think that they're struggling to find out, kind of their identity as a football team and who they are when things get tough. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for that video, guys. Really just disappointed in the way Kirby goes at the fans, especially considering the product that they've laid out so far this season. Georgia's still a great team. Georgia's still one of the best teams in college football, but Kirby Smart knows the standard that he's laid and set for this Georgia football team, and you can't take it out on your fans because those standards aren't being met. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Georgia fans, let me know what y'all think. One last thing. I live in Georgia country. Obvious Tennessee fan here. If you think that these Georgia fans are some of the rowdiest, craziest fans in the SEC, you're out of your mind. And for you to call out those fans, to me, low character move from Kirby. Uncharacteristic as well. Georgia fans, in the comments, let me know what you guys think. Really interested to hear what you guys have to say about this and what you guys have to say about the product that Kirby Smart and Georgia has put on the field so far this season. But like I said, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I appreciate you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.